So ever since I uploaded my video about my no-buy year, one of the most common questions I get asked is, well, how much did you save on your no-buy year? I'm not someone who believes in disclosing personal finances. I'm also not someone who believes in asking people about their personal finances. However, I see the attraction. Most people want to know how much you saved on your no-buy year because they want to see that it's worth it. Is it really worth the pursuit? So let's talk about the money, shall we? Ever since I got asked how much I saved on my no-buy year, I've gone through a whole emotional roller coaster that I want to take you on. So let's talk about how my thoughts unfolded, okay? I was very shy about pushing my finances out there, even in percentage format, because I'm minimum wage. It's not glamorous and it's not impressive, even as a percentage amount. And I didn't want to put my minimal amount out there because I thought it would discourage people from pursuing a no-buy year because it doesn't look as impressive as someone who has a bigger income than I do. However, after mewing over all of these thoughts and brewing them in my head, I realized that I do need to put this out there because most people who talk about personal finances are people who earn at least the mean average for their country. And I wanted to give more people insight into the savings and finances of someone who is on a minimum wage. However, 2019 was a bit of an anomaly for me because this was the first time in my life that I've earned over 10k. But I'm also not someone who's earning anywhere near like 20k or 25k and all that jazz, or even 18k, which is what most entry-level salaried jobs are. So I'm giving a perspective of someone who's not on a salaried income or anywhere close to the numbers of a salaried income. But I want to put that out there as a disclaimer because people may think that my savings don't look that impressive, but they would be looking more impressive if I was someone who was earning like 18 to 20k, etc. plus. Forcing myself to confront my annual spending and saving really opened my eyes to my financial situation and made me wonder how the hell I survived this long. Considering for the past 9 years or so of employment, I've been on much lower income than this. Like, how have I been doing it, really? I must have just been winging it for the past 10 years. It wasn't until I calculated all my expenses, I've made like a little fancy pie chart, an Excel spreadsheet, that I realized that my core expenses, which included my debt at the time, took up far more of my annual income than I was actually aware of. And that was really scary to confront. And what was even more frightening to confront was how much I would have saved were I a single person living alone. So for this video, I've made 2 pie charts. The first one will show you what I saved this year, and the second one will show you what I would have saved were I a single person living alone by myself, because I'm in a live-in relationship and the two of us split our core shared expenses 50-50. So how much did I save this year? Well, when I was first asked about my savings on my no-buy year, I was stupidly over-optimistic, mainly because I'm really rubbish at maths, and when I look at my bank account and see more money than I've ever seen in my life, I got really excited and thought the percentage that I saved was actually higher. But since Christmas, I'd take the time to calculate all of my expenses and savings as an average, and I found out that I actually saved 45.2% of my earnings this year. And that 45.2% actually comes after I paid off my loan. Thanks to my no-buy year and my no spending, I actually managed to pay off in full the rest of my 10k bank loan, which I took out 4 years ago for my master's program. And that was really nice to be able to do and not worry about having no savings left over in my bank account for emergencies. However, the ugly truth comes out when we take my partner out of the equation. So if I didn't have my partner living with me to split the rent, the bills, and my council tax expenses, I would only have saved 17.4% of my income. Yes, I too was horrified to see that my basic expenses and essentials, which included my rent, my food, and my bills, take up to 82.6% of my income. And what's more fascinating is this is the core of my expenses because I'm really frugal when it comes to things like groceries. I shop cheap. So that was a shock, to say the least. However, I need to look at the positives. Even if I was alone, I would have managed to survive and had a little bit of saving left over. But let's extrapolate on that little bit of savings and look at what that actually constitutes to. So most financial experts say that you have to save up at least 6 months worth of expenses in order to cover your emergency circumstances. So say that you fall into unexpected unemployment or health issues. They recommend that you have at least 6 months of your rent and bills in your savings account ready to cover you for any of those circumstances. However, working from the second pie chart of single Chinzia living alone with the same income that she has now, despite earning more money than she ever has in her entire life, it would actually take me another 5 years of saving and living on no-buy to save up for 6 months worth of expenses and rent. That's right, 5 years, and I'm a freelancer, so I don't have this thing called job security. I've always been someone who's very critical of minimum wage. I've always thought that there should be at least a living wage imposed in the country, and the main reason I am that way is because I have seen what minimum wage and low income can do to families. I am part of one of those families. But it wasn't until seeing the figures on the screen that it really hit home, and it made me so much more grateful for my mother, because I was raised by a single mother with no support and income that was lower than mine is right now. She raised me by herself with less, like way less than what I'm earning right now, and I can barely take care of myself and my dog on this income. And I know she's not an anomaly. There are billions of people out there who are single parents taking care of either one or more children and other expenses like pets, debts, etc. They may even be carers for other people in their family or responsible for finances. It's insane. And I'm not talking about this to make a pity party or to be the beaker of light on low-income families, because I'm not an expert in these fields and I'm obviously in a really stable position right now. Well, who am I to talk? However, the reason I have decided to talk on this is that I've never heard anyone else discussing the unglamorous side of incomes online, particularly. And I've always felt very alone and embarrassed and ashamed of my income and how little I earn compared to most people. And I think I need to start making a wave in breaking down the embarrassment and shame around that, because you shouldn't be ashamed or embarrassed of earning minimum wage or less than minimum wage or even minimum wage on a part-time salary. The amount of money that we earn, the annual salaries that we take home, aren't symbolic of our worth or the amount of effort that we put into life. And in order to encourage more people to be less ashamed or embarrassed about their annual incomes, I thought I should put this out there to ask others to maybe confront their annual finances like how I have done here and have a little pie chart, and just learn to accept that and then work out a way to manage it more wisely. It is scary looking at these figures. It is scary seeing that it would have taken me 6 years in total to save up 6 months worth of security. And I realized I have to adjust my working habits and work smarter in order to make this not an issue anymore. But had I not created this pie chart in the first place to make this video, I would never have known that that was my situation in this little bubble that I'm living in right now. I have to be very aware of all types of circumstances that are out there. I'm no longer going to take my financial situation lightly. I'm no longer going to avoid looking at the figures and confronting how much I spend on my grocery bills or even in my expenses like my rent and my bills. Yes, these pie charts have encouraged me to work smarter and to maybe just take up more projects and balance my time more effectively and push myself out there more to just earn some more income, and also budget myself much tighter than I was anticipating in doing. But I'm so glad that I did this, and I'm really proud of how much money that I saved this year. I never thought I'd be in a position where I could save 45% of my income, but I realized how privileged that position is, because 45% isn't something that most people can save, particularly when you take care of kids or you live by yourself, etc. So I hope you found this video enlightening in any sense of the form. Leave your thoughts down below if you did. If you don't know by a year, let me know in the comments down below how much you saved. Obviously in percentages you can keep your privacy, but for those of you who have never done a know by a year, it would be really interesting to hear your thoughts on money privacy. So most people don't like discussing their finances openly. And what are your thoughts on people sharing the figures and facts and between each other, between friends, between strangers online? Like, would you be comfortable disclosing your finances online, and why would or wouldn't you be? Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please consider liking. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. And I upload videos every Sunday and Wednesday, so I'll see you Wednesday for another video. And Happy New Year until then. And remember, books save lives, so keep reading.